Hi!
Hi!
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
My God, you have a lovely place.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh.
Oh. Looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. Karibu sana.
Thank you. How was Christmas?
It was good. I managed to sleep a lot because the whole year I was so busy. I just wanted to lala, eat, sleep, and that's exactly what I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Anyway, no, before we get down to our conversation, I wanted to find out, do you think that a lot of us are to blame for the way our children are behaving? Or misbehaving, for that matter?
Yes, because to a large percentage,
Yeah.
our children are a reflection of who we are. Yes. Not entirely,
Yeah.
but yes, we do play a role in how these children behave because they look to us for comfort, they look to us for security, they look to us for advice, and they look at us as their role models. So,
What do you think are the top 3 mistakes that we make as parents in raising children in this generation?
we don't want to create a relationship with them.
Yeah.
We want to just give orders and not give room for leniency. We want to correct before we connect. And we are very judgmental when they come to us with their issues. We don't provide an avenue for them to just speak their minds.
With the festive season behind us, we are back to certain realities of life, and one of them is actually parenting. And the big question is, how do we parent this TikTok generation? Do we have the right formula? Are we doing it right? Do we even know what we are doing? Now, joining me today on Her Standards is a counseling psychologist, and we are going to break it down for you bit by bit. I can't wait to see you there. Welcome to Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori, and a very, very, very happy new year. You won't believe it, it's actually 2023, and we are very excited to be bringing to you the show that is your direct connect to women you need to know. On this particular episode, we are actually discussing issues objectively, even the hard ones. We do not fear heights, and we're very excited to be talking about nothing other than parenting. Now, to help me break it down is an amazing lady. She is a counseling psychologist. She's also a mother to 2 adorable girls. My God. Adorable is an understatement. I'm talking about Jackie, and of course she'll be able to introduce herself. Remember, we are available across all socials at KTN Home, but you can also hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and I'm very happy that we are going to talk about parenting in the TikTok generation.
I know.
You know, it is quite an amazing, period to be here. It is an adventure for me because I'm also a mom to a few amazing adults. Anyway, Jackie, karibu sana.
Thank you, Queen, for having me.
You have a beautiful home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
I'm humbled.
Wow. You need to invite us for choma, for post-New Year's choma.
Yes, tutaongea. We will talk about that after.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, to our viewers who are meeting you for the very first time, who is Jackie?
I am a counseling psychologist. I am a mother. I am a believer. I am also a coach. I am a trainer.
Yeah.
I teach in certain universities and colleges in counseling psychology. Yes. I do so many things. Like if I start...
Package it. We have the time. Unpackage them. We have all the time.
Now, let me start with the counseling psychologist bit.
Please, yeah.
Because I wanted to... Initially, I wanted to be a counseling psychologist, but then I had to do a different career. And in between, I also wanted to be a kindergarten teacher because I really wanted to work with children. But I took a different career path because, parents, they want you to take a certain career path for a number of their personal reasons. So I found myself in a different field in the travel industry for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I discovered I still want to work with children. How do I do this? And now my journey in counseling psychology started after I had my firstborn child. Then I realized I really need to do this. Yes, so I figured I didn't want to become a teacher because as a teacher, as a kindergarten teacher, I had to be a figure of authority and I really didn't want that. So I figured, what else can I do? So after majoring in counseling psychology, I went back and also majored in child and adolescent therapy because now I knew I'd give an avenue for children to communicate with me through play. And also through that, I've learned a lot in my parenting journey because, what I learn, I implement in my parenting journey, in my day-to-day life. And so I'm also a trainer, like I said. I have been privileged to lecture in different colleges and universities in the Department of Counseling Psychology. I also create content. I am on TikTok, I'm on Insta, I'm on YouTube. But the one I'm most active on is Facebook, Golden Apple. Like every day, I purpose to create short videos dealing with different issues. I talk about everything. I talk about parenting. I talk about sex. I talk about relationships. I talk about personal development. I talk about self-awareness. So this also helps people to understand that these conversations that you're scared about having them in
Yeah.
public,
Yeah.
I mean, there's an avenue for you to just come and see me and we can talk about all these things without any facade, without any limitations. Yeah.
Interesting. Are you on social now that you are on Facebook 24/7? Are you on social media? How do we get in touch with you?
You can find me under Jackquline Gathu. That's my my public page, and Golden Apple, Jackie Blaze. Now that's my page for the psychological talks.
Yeah.
Yes.
What inspired, Golden Apple?
Now, I got this name
Yeah.
from a Greek mythology. The golden apple is like the chosen apple. I didn't want just a cliche name. I don't know, Jackie Njeri therapy. Like, let's talk therapy. I wanted, I wanted something that stands out, and everybody thinks golden apple. Where did that name come from? So it's the chosen apple. The moment you discover that you need to work on yourself, the moment you discover that you need to unlearn and relearn certain patterns in your life, the moment you discover that you need help, that it's okay to speak to some people, professionals actually, when you're struggling, you become the chosen one because your life starts from there. You realize you cannot do it all by yourself. Yes.
That is so deep. You probably need to quote that.
Oh.
I know. But anyway, Jackie, how do you work with children? Yeah, because I'm trying to wrap that around my head. Do they reach out to you directly? Is it through their parents? Is it through the learning institutions they go to? Is it privately? How do you work with them?
They come from different angles. Most of the time it's parents who bring their children for therapy. And when they bring their children for therapy, it's because they want their children to be fixed. And this is what I keep telling parents, and I'll say it here once again. You cannot fix a human being.
Okay.
This is not a car we are talking about. This is not a piece of furniture we are talking about. This is a human being. So when they bring them to me and they're like, oh, Mtoto, they've done this, they do this, they don't listen. I'm like, I kid you not. When I start therapy with these children, I'm talking about children who are able to express themselves. It turns out it's the teachers who are contributing to these children's issues. It's the parents who are contributing to these children. It's the caregivers who are contributing to these children's issues. But we are so defensive, we don't want to actually acknowledge, and it is true. We are the ones who damage these children, knowingly or unknowingly. So I'm not putting blame on anyone. But you see, as a parent, if your child displays certain behavior codes, it is up to you to understand that this behavior is communication. There is something they're trying to tell you. Uyo mtoto kutosikia. There is a reason behind that behavior. Are you keen enough to understand why, Ama, you want to fix them?
Mold them in a certain way, yeah.
And even I struggled with this as a parent.
Yeah.
Kwanza when I had my first one, because I had the ideal idea of how my child should be. There is the ideal one and there is the real one. Ile kiboko inachapanga mtu. Before you accept that child as they are, not the ideal. You want a Barbie doll. Kwanza when you have a girl, you have you want a child that you can just control.
Yeah.
And then you realize these people have minds of their own. These people want to express themselves. These people have their own preferences. And here you are trying to dominate. Wait. I learned from experience. So, and this is something most parents struggle with.
So, what do we do?
You need to accept your child as they are. Because they are unique. They are whole. Yes.
Even if they're making choices that we don't quite agree with.
As the caregiver, when a child reaches a certain age, you people are able to communicate. Are we able to have these conversations with our children? Because you don't have to fully agree with what your child wants. Okay. But are we having conversations? Are we setting limits for them? Are we trying to explain our reasons for not agreeing with what they do? Or we are just quick to place rules, to place limits and punish? It's not about discipline. It's about punishment and control. And when you control something, it speaks volumes behind the scenes.
You and I, we have something in common. You said you had to do studies or a degree in something that your parents wanted.
Yes.
I did the same thing for my parents. Yeah, I was told, this degree that you're pursuing, it is more lucrative in the job market. You want job hunt for long. So it was more about what their reality, not mine.
Yes.
I was very passionate, for example, about and I mean no offense to my parents, even though they are delayed. I know my family members are probably watching. No offense, I love them to death.
Yeah.
But they also know that my passion was actually in something else. I was very passionate about home science, home economics. Oh. That is what I really, really wanted.
Yeah.
But you see, my dad wanted me to be an engineer. Earlier on in my career, I wanted to be an engineer also. So he just grew into that dream with me. But then now the results did not support my dream, sort of. But you see, you can tell that it is actually coming from a point of Is it a point of love or a point of control? Is it coming from a point of love or a point of control? Where do we draw the line? How do I know that now the choices I'm making right now is good for my child because I'm their parent?
Yeah.
And or the choices I'm making right now is good for my child because I say so. Because I know it is the truth I have experience. Yeah.
They do this from a point of love. But this is what I have to say. You cannot love and control. You need to give some leniency. You need to give some freedom. And because we're talking about a child who's done with high school, right? So they're making career choices and stuff. This is a person you can actually have a sit down with and try to understand. They want to, let's say they want to do journalism and you want them to become a doctor. Try and understand. What is their motivation behind wanting to be a journalist? Like what kind of dream do they have? What kind of vision do they have? And then it's up to you now to come down to their level because you understand that this is a unique being, that they have their own thought process. They have their own preference as much as it hurts. I know it hurts.
Even if they want to be a DJ.
But it's a lucrative business nowadays. It pays very well. Entertainment and arts pays. It's not like back in the day where it was something that people used to do when they're struggling. Now you have people even with master's degrees who are DJs and musicians. So why not? Like, why not? And I know these are...
I know I'm speaking for a whole community.
I know. And they'll be like... But imagine it makes sense because the kind of satisfaction, the kind of gratification that these children get by pursuing their dreams, it's different. It's really different. We need to let them be. We need to stop trying to live our dreams through our children.
That's also powerful. Needs to be tweeted. Before we look into, parenting children in the social media age, which is a big deal. Let me tell you, many of us are just... We are just, what would I say? We're lacking in the dark. We don't know. We are just hoping that we are doing the right thing. Before we look into that, you mentioned that many parents bring their children to you, hoping that you will fix them.
Yes.
So it means, in a nutshell, that therapy is not in us. It's not in our culture. It is not something that we prioritize. So is that harmful? Is it something that you would be encouraged? And if you're supposed to come for therapy, how often should we come for therapy? And what should there be like a trigger?
You know, our culture doesn't see mental health as something that needs to be looked into. Doesn't see therapy as something that needs to be looked into because it's a taboo. It's, why would you waste money? Why would you waste time to go and speak to someone? If you go in the Western world, it's different. In most schools, they have a certified counseling psychologist, someone who's qualified, someone who's not a teacher, someone who's not even a member of the board, a psychologist. If you go to most workplaces, they have a psychologist who mentors these people, who speaks to these people, who makes sure that these people are, are feeling safe, feeling valued, and feeling understood. Come back to Africa. Ni nini unakuja kutuambia? Ni nini unajifanya? Why are you attention seeking?
Especially that line.
Ni nini you may go through? Kwanza utaambiwa there is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
So you see now, when you have this kind of narratives, if I'm struggling and I know I'll be told this, would I really open up to someone? No. Because I'm already feeling judged. I'm already feeling looked down on. I'm already feeling like nobody will understand. Truth of the matter is, sometimes, not everybody needs to go for therapy, so let's not also blow things out of proportion. But if you're having a struggle, if you feel like you're not okay, if you feel like you're not your normal self, it's okay to speak to someone. The same way, if I woke up with a cough today, I'd easily go to the doc.
True story.
Sasa, if I'm feeling I'm struggling, I don't have motivation to do anything. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to make a meal. I don't even want to shower. I don't want to interact with my children. I don't want to mingle with people. Clearly, there is a problem. So why can't I look for a professional to help me unpackage what is happening?
I think the biggest puzzle for me is how do you know? Because we have normalized not feeling like doing things. We have normalized some of these symptoms of mental illness. We've made them look like it's just, I'm probably just having a bad day, And also for children, for example, there's a lot of pressure. For example, when these children in Kenya, those of us whose children are in the 844 system, they had 2 years, 2 years was synchronized into 1 year. So children went through 2 classes in 1 year.
Yeah.
So evidently, even for an adult, I mean, can you imagine trying to meet your yearly target in 6 months? And that is what these children were subjected to.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for free, at the end of the year, or many, actually in mid-year, many of them like I can, if I can speak from experience,
Yeah.
my children were struggling a bit. I could feel they were struggling.
Yeah.
But see, now as a parent, because probably I'm aware, I was able to just talk them through and tell
Yeah.
them, I know it's tight, things are not okay, but it will be okay. Can you imagine that parent in the village who does not believe in a child, for example, getting tired?
Yeah.
So what do you think we need to do as a society in terms of allowing our children a small window where they can express themselves without heaving upon them this African mentality that I am a parent, you do as I say, not as I do, we'll talk about as I do later, you do as I say.
Yes.
Yeah, how do we then allow these children to grow? How do we allow them to be sick? How do we allow them to be a little not okay and deal with that also?
You know, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We are parenting our children the same way you are parented.
Yeah, largely, yes.
If you don't know any better, you will do everything as your parents did, whether you liked it or not. If you have information about responsive, intentional parenting, then you choose to make a difference. Most of us struggle with being compassionate even with ourselves. Most of us even struggle to be patient with ourselves. So how can we give something we don't have?
So we are damaged.
Most of us are, I kid you not. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, we struggle with being kind to ourselves, being compassionate, being patient.
Yeah.
So if I'm not patient with myself, if I'm not rational enough to understand that sometimes I need a break, how will I extend the same grace to my children? It starts with me.
Yeah.
I need to understand who I am and what I believe in and what I can do to be a fully functional being. So when I do that, when I apply all these virtues in my life, then I can put in my parenting. If I don't know, then I won't practice what I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to social media. You on TikTok?
Yes.
I was signed up on TikTok. I didn't sign myself up. And it has been an amazing experience. I don't remember if I've posted anything there, but that's a story for another day. It is obvious that we are parenting a generation that has been born into a lot of information.
Yeah.
Many of them have been born in the era of YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't even understand. When you ask them whether they watch TV, what they have in mind is YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is how they relate. And of course, they're also exposed to a lot of memes, the viral videos.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on. So before we even talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of raising this generation in the age of social media, as a counseling psychologist, what is your take on allowing children to be on social media?
Children
Yeah.
thrive on limits and routines. So you cannot just allow your child to be exposed to information that you don't even know. You need to understand whether they are signed up for Instagram, YouTube, what else? Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah, there's more. That one for
There's
kids has
Snapchat.
Yes.
Yeah, my 10-year-old introduced me to that one. So you cannot limit them from having these apps.
Yeah.
Because you're raising global citizens. And where the world is heading at some point, this will be actually, we're even in a place where this is in the know-how. Like, you need to know these things to be able to survive.
Okay.
So it's a digital era. So you cannot completely lock them out, especially if you're privileged enough to have access to them. But are you monitoring what they're watching? Ama ni ile, it's okay. It's lazy parenting. As long as they have TikTok and Snapchat. I mean, they occupy the whole day.
Yeah. They won't bother you. Actually, I've seen children who are fed with
Yes.
while watching YouTube
Yes.
videos. It's a welcome distraction. Okay.
If you can
Carry
look
on.
for if you can look for a different way to distract your child, because for how long are you going to put a gadget in front of them so they can feed, so that they can do whatever it is you need them to do? Can you interact with them? Can you get a plastic cup or something they can you give them sphorias to gonga theirs? Let them get creative, because you cannot just put a gadget and expect them to have that as a sense of distraction. You can imagine the kind of concentration it takes kushinda hapo. So monitor, try and understand what are they watching, how long are they spending with these gadgets, what kind of, if their friends have the same apps and they're communicating, what kind of stories are they sharing? It's okay to snoop by them.
I was going to ask you.
It's okay to
It's
snoop.
okay to snoop.
Because
Yeah.
you cannot just let them be. They are under your care. If something happens to them, who will the government come after?
You.
Yes.
Eh.
Who will people come after? Si ni wewe?
So you're allowed to snoop.
Yes, they are your children. You're the caregiver.
What is the age limit of snooping?
Personally, I think I'll snoop until she's 21 or they're 21.
I want to take a short break. On that note, I want to take a short break. Remember, this is Her Standards with me, Queen Mbori, having this really engaging conversation, timely engaging conversation with my good friend here. She's called Njeri. She's a counseling psychologist. Now, if you're a parent and you're not watching this show, then there's a problem. I think this is a timely conversation. I know we have them. Many of us parents, especially who have subscribed to the 844 system of education, we have them until the end of the year. Please sit down and have this conversation with our children. Sit down and watch this show with them, because you also need to hear the side of their end of things. We want to take a small break just to pay some bills. We are just getting started. Please stay right there, because we will be right back. We are glad you could keep it here to, keep us company in the second part of Her Standards. My name is Queen Mbori, and I am joined by an amazing personality. She's called Jackquline Njeri, and she's a counseling psychologist. Today, we have put everything aside because we value you. We want to talk about parenting in the 21st century. How do we parent these Gen Zs, honestly? Are you struggling? Are you having a hard time? Have you hacked it? Because you'd like to hear from you. Head down to our social media platforms at KTN Home. Or you can also talk to me directly at Queen Mbori, or you can also engage our guest, Jackquline Njeri, and she also has a Facebook page called Golden Apple. Rush there right now and type in all the questions that you have regarding raising this TikTok generation. My God, it is not a joke, And during the first part of the dialogue, we were just basically trying to understand the value of therapy, how often you need to take it. And we slightly touched on raising children on social media. There's so much information flying around. Jackie, welcome back.
Thank you, Asante.
So let me ask you, having said what you said, which I will repeat, that we will snoop until you're 21.
Even beyond.
Or beyond,
If need be.
If need be.
Yes.
Is there anything good that has come out of raising children during this era? Is there something good that can come out of it?
Is there something good that can come out of raising?
Yeah, children in the TikTok era, in the Snapchat era, where we have to put filters on in order to look good,
Now, we've got different aspects of looking at this,
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is we are raising people who can speak their minds. We are raising people who know how to operate gadgets. We are raising people who know that they are not only confined to this country, that they can access the whole world just with having a gadget. Now, my issue with some of these apps is they affect our children's self-esteem, all right? Because the kind of things that people post, we only post the polished version of our lives.
Ooh.
So if a child is largely exposed to this without them having an avenue to ask questions about reality out here, they'll grow up with a certain damaged view of the world, which of course will affect them, because they will think that everybody is driving big cars, everybody is living in the suburbs, everybody is, making it in life and making big bucks, like there's no struggle. But you see, we also need to normalize, it's okay to have these conversations with them, for them to know whatever you see on social media is not real. It's not real. I rarely post when I'm having PMS.
No.
Yeah. I'll not post when I'm
just
disciplining her.
Yeah.
I'll just post our happy moments.
Yeah.
So we want our children to understand this, so they don't grow up with this wrong perception of what life is and what life is not. Yeah.
So whose responsibility is it to do all of that? The parent?
Yeah.
So the parent has to be on social media?
Yes. If you want to monitor what your child is doing, you can even show them what you post, so they can relate and understand, oh, well, okay, so behind the scenes, you were in your PJs, but because you wanted to post something, you had to spruce up and look like this, like this, like this. So you need to come down to their level. You cannot just give orders from above. You need to relate.
You need to relate.
Yes.
Interesting. If you're not on social media, I think you're missing out. There are things that are happening behind your back, and you probably need to get down to that. We're talking about the good side of social media, but we cannot run away from the fact that there's a lot of bad and ugly that also happens on social media, apart from self-esteem issues. One that I can point out authoritatively is cyberbullying. Have you encountered cyberbullying?
Personally?
Yes.
No, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, I will combat them. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I see many people talk about, and for me, I think those are just cowards. I mean, if I have an issue, there's a better way to express my disagreement with the opinion or my disagreement with whatever it is that has been posted.
Yeah.
I don't have to be mean. I don't have to come down as condescending to prove a point.
Yeah.
So all those people who type very mean things, hurtful things, they're just cowards. And if you look at them clearly, they have issues with themselves and they don't know how to handle it. And you know, if you're unhappy, you want everybody around you to be unhappy. If you're insecure, you want everybody around you to feel insecure. So that's what happens. It's just people who have their own issues, they don't know how to express themselves, they're feeling unsatisfied with their lives, and the best they can do is throw words around social media. They are called keyboard warriors.
They're called,
those ones.
yeah, they're called keyboard
Yes,
warriors.
yes.
And do our children, particularly the young ones, the ones who are just new on social media, do you think they have the capacity to handle that kind of, what do I call it, lash out? Can they deal with it? And in essence, because I know they're children who are, they're content creators.
Yes.
The children who are, let me tell you something about these Gen Zs. Some of them are millionaires, they're making money. So how then does our role as parents come in to ensure that our children are covered from all these ills of social media? There's cyberbullying.
Yes.
There is another one I learned recently called, what is it called? Where these pedophiles,
Oh yeah.
what is it called? Pedophiles reach out to children and then they're
It's like sexual predators.
something like that.
Yes.
It has a name.
Oh, it has. Okay.
It has a name. We'll find the name before the end of the show.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that our children are covered? They are safe. You know, they're free to be creative.
Yeah.
They are free to do their thing. They're free to thrive, but at the same time, they're also protected, because at the end of the day, they are children. In Kenya, they're children. I think they're 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we cover them?
You know, you can also become their social media manager, so that you monitor. All right. There are certain, because we're in Kenya, let's talk about Kenya right now. There are certain public figures who I know have channels for their children, and their children actually create very wonderful content, leave alone the cloud chasers. There are people who are actually creating very good content, but they are the ones who are managing their social media accounts. And you will see the kind of responses they give to these people who are mean. They go to the DMs, they respond to necessary ones, they look at the comments, they'll filter, they'll even block. Like, you know, you can actually just turn off comments so that people don't comment. So that is your role. You have a child who's talented, you want them to thrive. You can put them in the limelight, yes, but also now you know that your role is bigger because you need to manage.
So our
this
roles
aspect
have
of
just
their
been
lives.
increased.
Yes.
Okay, now we are social media managers.
Yes.
I will add that to my CV.
You need to.
I'm going to add that to my CV.
Yeah, you need to, because you want to protect your child, and you know their capacity to deal with these people has not grown. You know, they are growing every day, and they're developing these skills as they learn, as they grow and learn.
Yeah.
So it is your responsibility as a parent to guard them and protect them with everything you have. Yeah.
And now we want to talk about the elephant in the room, screen time. This is where I promise we will talk about preaching water and drinking wine for
Oi,
parents.
Mungu wangu.
Can we talk about screen time? How much time can we allocate to our children on social media? Yeah. And who is the role model in
Mpaka nimekunywa chai. Okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's compare with the Western world with us here.
Yeah.
I know in the Western world, children under 2 are not supposed to watch TV.
Okay.
Imagine. So, I mean, 6 months mtu anaona cocomelon. But I would say 1 to 2 hours is more than enough.
Per day?
Yes.
Acha nikunywe chai.
Hata mimi nilisifu nilijua hapo tutachoma. Because when we expose our children to so much screen time, whether it's the phone, whether it's the computer, whether it's the TV, their concentration span also lessens. Are you noticing our children are complaining so much that even in class, they're not able to sit still? Like, your attention span inakuwa shortened. Yes. And they also don't know how to get on the creative side, because if all I do is sit and press my phone, if all I do is sit and change the channels, what time do I get to play? What time do I get to play ball? What time do I get to ride the bike? What time do I get to go to the shamba and dig dirt? You know? So the more you expose your child to screen time, the less you expose them to their creative side and their developmental side. It can help if you want to distract them, but then you need to come up with other ways to occupy their time.
Have you ever experienced children when there's no Wi-Fi or there's no power?
Yes. It's like there's a mental breakdown.
It's like the world is coming to an end.
But you see now, it's because we also don't want our children to embrace the simple side of life.
Okay.
There's beauty in simplicity. You wake up in the morning, you go for a walk. Hapo tu mtaani, you go to the shops, you come back. There is beauty in going around and picking takataka in the compound, or cleaning the dishes, or them helping you make breakfast or set the table, or them helping you make the bed. Simple things in life. Us, we want to wake up in the morning. The first thing we do when we wake up, what do? Me included? Yes.
Same.
We are not even praying. We are not even exercising.
Yeah.
Yes, we are like, tuangalie kwanza notifications, alafu sasa tujue ni aje. No, but you see they're observing us. Yes.
What's the remedy?
I
know. I've seen this. Before you even tell us the remedy, I've seen people who cannot even put their phones aside while eating.
Yes.
And that habit, it ticks me off. Yeah. So how then are we going to ask our children to keep off screen time when adults themselves, the parents themselves, are the ones who cannot regulate their screen time?
Now we need to be the role models here. We need to set an example. Children, you'll tell them to do something they may not do, but they will observe how you do it and they will do it and they will copy you. Have you ever noticed when you use a curse word?
Yeah.
Your child will repeat that word over and over
Over
again.
and over.
So this clearly tells you that they will copy what you do, not what you say. So if I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is check Netflix, the incoming shows, or go to YouTube or check my phone for IG and TikTok, that's exactly what my children will do. If I want them to change, then I also need to be very intentional about how I do my stuff. I wake up in the morning, I go for a walk, I do my prayer and meditation, and then start my day. Then I go work, and then they can see that mommy is busy and stuff like that. So you are the one to show them how to do it. Because if you don't do it, they won't. They might do what is right, quote unquote, out of compliance because they are scared of the consequences, but in the long run, they'll still.
So Jackie, does that cut across every other thing that we do in the presence of our children, as in the whole parenting thing? And I know right now I'm actually, I'm stepping on raw nerves. Does it entail our social life? Does it entail our drinking habits? Does it entail the environment we create for our children? Even how would I call it, the toxicity in the environment where we raise our children? Does it have a direct impact on the outcome? Yeah. So 10, 15 years later, are we going to have a replica of what is happening in our current realities? I know that's but not very many people are happy with me right now.
No, and not many people will agree with what we are saying here. But yes, unapiga sherehe, don't be surprised if your child goes to piga sherehe when they are of age. If you're lucky enough, wasianze mapema. You've got piercings all over your body, don't be surprised when your child does the same thing. If you guys have a relationship, they'll come to you before they get those piercings.
Otherwise, utakuwa surprised.
If you're all over and your child knows you have different people, don't be surprised if your child does the same thing. Because we repeat these cycles when you don't know any better. We don't understand how divine parenting is. What kind of responsibility this is. And I'm not saying I'm not perfect here. And I'm not saying I am perfect, my gosh, no. But at the back of my mind, as long as I know whatever I do today is going to affect these children, then I'm very careful. And that this is what we need to do. I'm not telling people not to live their lives. Go for sherehe. But when they ask you, sherehe ni nini? Tell them. You know? They can see tattoos all over our bodies nowadays. Like, people are having tattoos all the time. They ask you whether it's painful. They ask you if they can get one and they're of age. Tell them, yes, when you're of age, you will have one. But you need to wait until you're 18 or 21, depending. All right. They see you imbibing in booze. And they'll ask you, okay, so when did you start drinking? You see, when you relate with your children, they also relate to these experiences. Most of us, we don't want to be real. We want to act perfect. Like everything, like we were perfect children. We never make mistakes. We never screwed up. No. Tell them your stories. Of course, age appropriate. Tell them your stories so they know that at least they can relate with you. If you become too strict, if you become too rigid, then they will go and ask their friends, sherehe inaendangwa wapi? Ni wapi nitatoa fake ID? Nataka tattoo. Where do I go? So instead of them asking their friends, can they come to us because they know that we can give them the age-appropriate information? Yes. So they will watch us, no lie. And this one weighs heavily because I realize, oh my gosh, whatever I do, whatever I say, there are people watching. Yeah.
Little eyes are watching.
Yes.
That's what they say.
And they absorb so much. You're a parent as well.
Yes, I am.
You know how keen these humans are.
Siji tufunge show. Tuendelee kuchoma.
Yes.
You know, you've talked about age appropriate.
Yes.
And I know one thing that is not age appropriate that they are also consuming is sex education. Because I know if you judge by what probably you and I knew at their age, then they obviously know so much. They are aware.
Yeah.
They are aware of the sexual orientation,
Yeah.
different sexual orientation. They are aware of too much, I don't know that call it too much information.
Yeah.
Yes. So how then do we assume that they know so that we don't have this conversation, or how do we integrate the information that they already know with the information that you want them to know? And how do you also make that age appropriate? Because these people know.
Yes, they do. You don't assume they know. Because you want to be their go-to person when they have a question. The moment you make a mistake of assuming that they know, then you'll just give very kidogo information because we are uncomfortable having these conversations.
Of course.
Now, too much information, it's good and it's bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Because by the time these kids are hitting 10, they know things that we got to know when we were 18, 19.
They know so much.
They know so much. It doesn't help that even the TV shows, everything is just all over the place.
Yeah.
When you talk about sex education, it starts from a very early age. And sex education doesn't have to do with the art of sex only. This is what people need to understand. I remember at some point I was trying to implement sex education in my therapy sessions because I was dealing with children who were sexually active and their parents were not aware. Or they were aware but they wanted to pretend that their kids were innocent and stuff, and this finished me completely. And most of them told me that me giving sex education means I'm giving them an avenue for usherati. Actually, kuna mwenye aliniambia live, it's like you're giving them an avenue for them to practice. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not teaching about sex itself. Unless I'm dealing with an 18-year-old, because I want to believe that they've not started yet. Okay? If I'm dealing with an 18-year-old, the information I give is super different. If I'm dealing with a 10-year-old, like for instance, when you're dealing, let's say, with a baby, sex education also entails naming their body parts as they are. This issue of naming boobs, I can't remember the nickname we give them in Swahili, imepotea. Susu, the private parts.
It's susu.
No. These are their private parts. These are breasts.
Yeah.
There's a vagina.
Yeah.
There's a penis.
Yeah.
Let them know. Then, as they grow, let them understand. When you're washing them, at mtoto wa 2 years, like that little one, they may not understand fully, but the more you repeat, they understand that before you wash them, even before you wash their private parts, you tell them, now I'm going to wash your vagina. That's a 2-year-old. So they grow knowing. As they get older now, they will start asking, where do babies come from? Get creative. For me, what I did, I got books. And not from CBC, because I saw those and I was like, woo! So I got books that had very cute diagrams of how babies are formed. There's an egg, and then mommy and daddy give a special hug, and then the baby comes. By the time she was 9, actually 8, she knew where babies come from, and she came to me and told me. I didn't give her the correct story, and I told her, I gave you age-appropriate information. So, but they'll come with questions, and you will respond. By the time they are around 6, somewhere 6 to 8, they are in school, they are mingling with other children. Let them know that, they are developing, they are changing, that, they are close to preteen, that of course sometimes boys will want to hug and they may not want to be hugged, that a boy may want them to sit on their lap, they should not allow that, because there's something about consent and about boundaries that they need to do. Wakiwa wadogo tu, they need to know all this information. As they get older also, they will talk about attraction to the opposite sex. Be open to these conversations. So when they come telling you about their crushes, I mean, there's nothing, it's just a crush, it's nothing more. You don't remember the crush you had?
I do.
Even me, I remember mine.
It's called Brian.
Mine was Kevin Masese.
You know both names.
It was bad, it was bad. But now you see, I didn't have the kind of relationship where I could tell my mom.
Hell no.
Kai.
Girl.
Yes.
You didn't dare.
But I have chosen to be intentional about listening to my children. My daughter will come and tell me this and this, she has a crush, and so I ask, so you have a crush, what does that mean for you? So, I like the boy, he sits next to me, we play together, we walk together during lunch, and I'm here crossing my fingers. Because number one, I don't want to be the paranoid Kenyan mother, but I also want her to know that she can trust me with this information. So we normalize interaction with the opposite sex. There's nothing wrong. We are the ones who blow things out of proportion. what does that tell about us?
Wow, we need help.
We need help. We need to understand these things are normal. Your child says, oh, you know, a boy tried to touch me like this. How do you react? Some parents, sadly, will accuse the children of like giving way, you know. And for your child to come and tell you such information, it means that they feel safe with you to come and tell you such information. So the way we respond when our children give us such stories is important, because it determines whether they'll come to us or they will go to other people for advice and for comfort. Yes.
That is so much information in this show. I'm trying to unpackage it one by one. Naikuji. We have a few minutes. There's somebody who's watching and they have actually hit a dead wall. They are tired, they've had it, it's not working. What do you advise them? It's not working. It's completely.
All hope is not lost. The fact that you have this child means you have capacity to take care of them.
Okay.
And I know we live in a society where, like, it's not like a long time ago where we had the whole community taking care of a child, you know. So now it's individualized. It's every man for himself. But it's okay for you to ask for help from your relatives. It's okay for you to ask for help from your close friends who may understand the struggle. And if you need insight on parenting, I am here. We have other parenting experts as well. They will help you unpackage the struggle. They'll help unpackage where the issue is. And I kid you not, these relationships are repairable. There's nothing that can't be amended. Everything can be amended. Yeah.
There's nothing that can't be amended. I think that's a wonderful, beautiful spot to end this show today. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Asante for having me.
My God, I feel like I need an entire season 1, season 2 of parenting. We probably should have a parenting show every month. Nelima is my producer. I'm talking to her. I think this is very, very, very important. It's critical. Actually, one time somebody said that, you see all these issues that are happening, adolescence, pregnancy, children rebelling, school, unrest, it all boils down to the family. If things are not working at the family level, then nothing will work.
How many people are open to having this insight? Like, we want to pretend that we are okay and our children are the ones who are rebels. They are rebelling because there's something that is not right. Yes.
There you had it. This is not the last time we're having this conversation on parenting. Obviously, there's still a lot more that we need to talk about. But for now, unfortunately or sadly, we have to say goodbye because of time constraints. However, you can keep up with this episode, you can keep up with past episodes, and of course future episodes where we intend to be very strategic about parenting for this generation. They're called the Gen Zs or Gen Zs, whatever. So keep up with us. We're available on YouTube. Head there. You'll find all these amazing women, their wonderful stories, their inspirational stories. But for today, we have to say goodbye. I have been your host. My name is Quintam Bori. You can find me on social media using the same handles. And of course, my gracious guest has been Jackie Njeri. Till next time, we just want to say kwaheri and have a fabulous 2023. Bye for now.